afternoon and welcome to this week's episode of Level Up Cyber. My name is Tony Bryan, the Executive Director of CyberUp and your host for today's show. Very excited about this conversation today. Hopefully you guys have noticed we've really taken an interest in sharing the story of our candidates and our apprentices that have come through our program. So excited to have our second candidate today join us for our show, Otis Osborn, easy for me to say. Welcome to the show, Otis.
Hi, Tony. Hi, everyone.
I've got a chance to know you a little bit. You know, you're about halfway through your apprenticeship with us, but I'd love for you to just take a second, introduce yourself, a little bit about how you got to where you're at in your career, and we'll start from there.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I was an Air Force veteran. I was in from 2009 through 2013, went in as a radio technician. I had some experience with satellite communications and networking, but it's still mostly radio maintenance oriented, and I seen that really wasn't going too many places for me. So I knew after 4 years was up, I was interested in becoming a student. So I dabbled in different academic majors for a little bit. I think I started with biology, then I shifted towards an associate's degree in general education, and then it found that IT was more along the lines of my interest. So I had started school in about 2014 and then finished with a bachelor's degree in 2018 and was really struggling to find relevant work, entry-level work. So I had really tried to network, and it took a while, but I finally was introduced to a program called the Veterans Curation Program, which was an archaeological lab technician job. And through that, I was able to network even more at a professional level. And so I was introduced to CyberUp through vet work in the St. Louis area. And then from there, I had passed the requirements, was able to pass the interviews. I was able to get the questions answered that I didn't really know how to develop the skills to be able to break into entry level IT fields. So this was a very unique opportunity where I was given, I feel like, the perfect support. So people were willing to be proactive. They're willing to give me an opportunity to break into cyber. And so as part of the CyberUp apprenticeship, I obtained my Security Plus certification. I'm working on another certification, the Network Plus currently. I'm also working for the company Centene. And when I first started there, I was in a privileged access management team. That was a phenomenal start. I got to know a little bit about cybersecurity and tools and password protection and things like that. And during this apprenticeship, they allow us to rotate to different teams. So I'm in another team now that has been going perfectly. It's something I didn't know how to ask for. It just kind of fell into my lap. So I was given that opportunity. Now I'm learning more about different types of tools, different processes, publications, and there's documentations and framework to kind of help give me the right perspective.
That's awesome. So Otis and I met through the vet work, which you referenced a little earlier, which is a kind of a local St. Louis specific group around veterans to come together and to do what you just described, right? Meet industry folks, find folks from, Wells Fargo is a big participant, and a lot of them are career transitioners and veterans. So, glad we got a chance to meet through vet work, and glad you got to hear about CyberUp through vet work, right? It's an important part of it. So, you transition out of the Air Force, and there was a gap there, and, a couple of years of gap of trying to, through school and things, and you really jump back into it. How has that transition been? What supports have you leaned into? What things have been really helpful for you in that kind of transition to where you're at now?
Oh, sure. So it's very nonlinear. This was a very nonlinear approach to getting into cybersecurity. I had a lot of confidence in pursuing the academic fields where After I got out of the Air Force, I would study, go to school, use whatever channels they had available. Well, that wasn't as easy as the impression I had. So, uh, through some other contacts, somebody had offered me what's called an archaeological lab technician job through the Veterans Curation Program. And my entry into this cybersecurity field was more or less through that. I was able to learn some not only archaeological skills about sorting artifacts and cataloging information and data entry, but a little bit more of trying to communicate and ask questions and have conversations with people. So through those conversations that had presented me with these opportunities to network and uh, have a dialogue with affiliates related to people in IT who are looking for people to hire and bring onto their teams. So that's in a roundabout way, it was not linear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's transitioning's hard, right? Let's be honest. When I got out in '07, and when you got out in 13, there were a lot of programs, and we talked about it before, that didn't exist, right? There wasn't Skill Bridge, there wasn't Vet Tech, there was GI Bill, right, which you used, I'm sure, to go back to school. But there's a lot more availability of great programs that are out there now, and what we call support systems. So you found them. It just took a little bit longer for them to get created, right? And then to leverage it for your skills that you're at. Veterans Curation Project is, to your point, local here in St. Louis, and a great group. They've helped so many veterans that I know of from, over the past 14, 15 years. I'd probably even longer than that. We were hanging out for another job with them quite a few years ago and met so many great folks like yourself that came to the program. So a great foundational org that kind of helps that transition, I think, in just jobs and roles and how to function, right? And to really learn how to play, I won't say play well with others because you learn that in the military, but really work in a team in a different way, right? So far, you're 6 months in, you've already got a cert, you're working on a second cert. What are you enjoying the most right now about, your apprenticeship, the industry and the sector as a whole? What's really kind of resonating with you?
Yep, sure. Yeah, great question. So I was kind of worried about there might be a lot of maybe micromanaging or control, but so as I became more immersed into this, there wasn't any of that. I thought maybe I'd be doing a lot of coding or kind of like left brain dominant work, doing database kind of stuff and developing software programs. So none of that is, I've been confronted with that. I've actually been asked to join another team that has been extraordinarily fascinating because I get to learn about new tools that have nice dashboards, nice color schemas, nice things to look at, present. And as I continue to explore this, I've found that it's been a fascinating field because it gives me a nice quality of life. It's a low stress environment. There's a nice work-life balance. And there's a lot of options. If I want to try to do something different, I have options to move somewhere different. So I like that. It's really good money. Money is important to me. And it seems like it's just a morally right thing, morally right field for me to get into. It's been a fascinating experience with the team members I'm a part of, learning the other apprentices. And, sometimes people ask questions, the other apprentices ask questions that I've never even occurred to me. So there's a lot of good teamwork, good motivation, good communication, support. And so I feel like there's an abundance of support that I didn't know how to ask for. I didn't know really where to look for. So I feel very, very strongly that this is just the perfect environment for me right now.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to jump in just real quick. So for some of the things that I think that helped what you just described from a corporate perspective, right? There's the idea because there's the individual, and the next question I ask will lean towards that, but from an on-ramp perspective, right? You described an organization that, had multiple departments, you got to cross-train across other organizations. a lot of good supports, and there was a lot of intentionality that happened on the back end of that stuff for Centene as a whole to really lay the groundwork for the environment that you're describing, right? That piece. So, it's a good opportunity to, kind of foot stomp for other organizations or managers that are really listening to this right now to say, okay, hey, apprenticeship is it's a great model and a great opportunity to bring people onto your organization. It's also a really solid way, especially given the current, economic situation. It's a great way for organizations maybe to minimize some risk, reduce some of the cost of the things they're doing, and all while taking care of folks and meeting mission and protecting networks. So, always happy to discuss what that may look like and give some advice on how to really build what I would call a skills-based hiring model, right? Like, how do you really lean into using certifications or assessments as really the tool that determines a fit for your organization, rather than a 4-year degree or a master's degree becomes the determinant of that person's success. Both are great pathways and both are equally important for the job market, but they're not mutually exclusive, where they're both are determining factors of quality of somebody you would hire. So sorry for my soapbox there, but so the next question really would be centered around, what advice would you give to other folks, right? There's, everybody sees the news. There's tons of, there's 500,000 plus jobs in the US for cybersecurity, and there's a plethora of folks looking for opportunities or certifications to get into it, right? What advice would you give to those folks who are looking to break in?
Yes. So first, don't give up on yourself. If you feel like you're maybe in an adversarial environment, people bringing you down, get out of it. Talk to new people. People want to have conversations and dialogues and ask questions, and don't worry about how people look at you. Everybody comes, I feel like I had a lot of uncertainty. I approached this with a lot of uncertainty, and I feel like I met the right people, the right time, right place, who were pretty perceptive and gave me an opportunity to talk and listen and provide feedback. Trying to stay healthy, try to get out in the sun and get some vitamin D. And, if you feel like you're discouraged by anything, just know there's people out there that are willing to give you a hand up and help get you somewhere in the right direction, lead you the right way, and give you the right support.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years from now, right? You've got a solid foundation. You've worked in a couple departments. You're, earned a cert, working towards another cert. Where do you aspire to take your career as it continues to go and evolve?
Yeah. So I like the idea of getting the CISSP, but I think there's at least a 5-year requirement being in IT. So, after that certification, I don't know if I really want to pursue too much more, other than maybe if I need to be certified for a tool I need to use, maybe something like that. But yeah, I like being able to look at being a manager and working my way up and having the opportunity to advance. So I don't know all those routes immediately, but I would like to broaden my horizons and not limit myself. So not only just staying focused on the technical skills, but also in my communication skills and my inquisitiveness and curiosity about things, and just trying to really be an asset and being ambitious and trying to provide value.
Has there been any kind of specialty, pen testing, SOC, compliance, GRC, identity access, anything that's kind of naturally you've gravitated towards and think, man, I really like that aspect of this, that you think you'll lean into a little more?
Yes. So I have been really attracted to the vulnerability mitigation side of things. So I've learned more about MITRE, M-I-T-R-E,
Yep.
and how the tactics, techniques, procedures an attacker would use is available. I can see that. And there's also different options on how to remediate that stuff. So, if there's something like ransomware attack. Okay, well, I know there's mitigations right there. I can see it. And so I kind of like knowing things like that. Well, if there's this attack, a lot of people are getting exposed to, well, how do I mitigate it? And so, yeah, there's a lot of interest with multi-factor authentication and antivirus software and strong passwords and things like that.
Yeah. As you look, kind of your next, you said you're working on that plus now. You mentioned CISP, got a few years. Anything you'll try to fit in between that you think you'll like to pursue? I like the vendor stuff.
Yeah, so there was in the team before there, we were working on CyberArk. That was a tool we were using, and so I was maybe considering the certification in that, but there's more tools I'm learning about now. So yeah, it could be a vendor specific certification in between the Net Plus certification and the CISSP. I haven't put my finger on it just yet and say that's the one I go for. I want to go for because there's just so many of them right now.
There are a plethora. I'm waiting for, which I'm sure is happening. Somebody's working on an AI certification. The CompTIA or EC Council is, because it's impossible not to. And from what I understand, as a partner of CompTIA, they're in the mix. I don't think they have a timeline of when it's going to come, but it's soon. Have you seen AI start to take a hold in some of the things you're doing on a day-to-day basis within? Are you incorporating that in what you're doing on your day-to-day?
Me personally, no, but there are teams who do use that. Things related to Amazon Web Service and Kubernetes. And so, yeah, the AI is definitely being used. I don't get to necessarily, press the buttons on there. I just get to listen and learn from other people. But I think, yeah, there's going to be more of that leverage.
Yeah, that's exciting. So let's fast forward, or let's rewind. We're going to go back. Let's rewind, right? So we met at the vet work. What really piqued your curiosity into a program like CyberUp, right? Something non-traditional. You'd already gone to college. You'd gone through that route. What was it about a non-traditional pathway or something like that sparked your interest in changing your kind of career trajectory?
Well, really, it was the unknown. I didn't really have any expectations. Felt like I was kind of walking into a dark room and without no lights. So I felt like, well, I've already tried the academic channels, so I just need to ask questions and have a dialogue. So I feel like when I had a discussion with some of those points of context, that gave me a better notion as where this can take me. So I almost felt like the unknown was an exciting part of that. My uncertainty, my desire to ask questions and know more, and the feedback I received. I felt like if the people didn't give me the time of day, the feedback, I probably still would have felt like, well, this isn't going to take me anywhere. But I was convinced that I was going to be led in the right direction. Things were going to work out for me too.
A little bit of blind faith there, and it all kind of worked out in the end. It makes me happy as we helped you. That always, of course, makes me happy we were able to kind of deliver in that end. If there was something you could go back and change right over the last, from your transition out to now, is there anything you think you'd go back and maybe do differently?
Well, I wish I would have known about this earlier.
That's a good one.
Yeah. No, off the top of my head, I try to stay healthy and active and try to participate in society and go out and do different things. Travel the states, road trips. But yeah, I felt like I would have known about this earlier, and that would have just been the perfect scenario.
Yeah, I'm trying to like rehash back. I got out in 2007 and we had very little, right? We had GI Bill. I had, our TAP program was okay. We got some classes primarily focused on GS jobs where we would apply for USA jobs. And And I had a lady, a wonderful woman who kind of helped me navigate this stuff. But a lot of it took, we'll call it just some ingenuity and a personal network. If I had to find friends and really engage other folks to understand and find answers, right? To understand about interviews. I learned to dress a suit from some person that fit me at Men's Warehouse several years ago, right? Like I didn't even know how to like wear a suit to go to an interview. There were so many things, and it's easy to, I think of just the military time, you get into your kind of insular bubble, right? And there's so much other things to learn about outside of just the military, especially around corporate America, college, and all these other pieces that you haven't been exposed to, especially since a lot of folks join at 18, right? I joined right after I turned 18 years old, and I knew very little. I was blown away at how much little I knew back then. Let's if we take a look, if there's some additional, are you spending time on your own, at night, kind of continuing to grow your skill sets and trying to find and advance and learn new things along the way for your career?
Yes. So I try to listen to different people, different backgrounds. And so I try to really take more time to pay attention when people talk about social engineering. Um, and I feel like there's been times I've been blindsided by somebody trying to play tricks on me. And I feel like, people are really trying to put that information out there. Well, hey, this is social engineering is going on. These are the tactics. This is how you can better protect yourself, or, you know, somebody on the streets trying to trick you out of money or panhandle you. There's some assertive communication skills that I've learned that have really helped me, assert my boundaries. So I feel like, you know, along the way, I was given information to help me, and I didn't have all this information when I started. So it took a while to really listen and to develop those skill sets to be able to not get so easily duped and tricked, and um, don't click on random links. If somebody's sending you text messages you don't know who they're from, just you don't have to just respond back. They're inauthentic because it could be a robot or something. So it's okay to just block them. And through those trials, tribulations, and through that progression, I feel like it's helped me spot people who are inauthentic or more genuine. So,
any good podcast or readings or authors that you've been listening to lately?
I like Professor Messer. I feel like on YouTube, that's a really great resource.
I am a fan. This guy's probably tired of me shouting him out, but Gerald Auger is his name. He does Simply Cyber. He's got a great course around GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. It's a really solid course. And GRC, man, there's more and more rules and more regulations, right? I think we're starting to see the feds get a little more involved. FBI and CISA are, coming in heavy and making some serious recommendations. And I don't want to say threats, because I don't feel like government agencies like that make threats. Like they're coming with data of things that are real, right? That we need to start really focusing on. So the time is really good to start looking at some of that governance, risk, and compliance, because if you don't know where you're starting, it's really hard to know where you're going to go in that. So that's where that framework really comes in. Outside of certs and training, if you look back, was there something that maybe you would have liked to have added over the course of that progression, along the way, or maybe something you wish you would have knew then that you wish you knew now that you didn't know then, other than obviously programs like this that exist we just said that one.
Yeah, well, I feel like programs like this that would have been perfect earlier on. But I feel like something that's really helped me along the way is getting out, going on nature walks, exercising, trying to stay active, trying to stay healthy, trying to eat right. I don't know. I feel like I've been pretty lucky, pretty lucky, pretty fortunate to have the things I have.
Luck is a blend of happenstance of two good things that come together, right? So like or we'll call karma. Well, you threw out more net good than you put out bad, and that net good paid you back and good things to happen to you. That's generally the rule of thumb I like to follow and approach. Yeah, it's, programs, and St. Louis is very lucky, but I'd say the country is actually, the trend of seeing non-traditional pathways or boot camps have really surged, right? And there's a lot of great efforts. Some states are better than others. Some cities and counties are better than other. An interest in helping promote programs like CyberUp or other non-traditional or kind of alternative routes for that last minute education. So I don't think the trend of organizations like ours are going away. I think more will come, and we'll have more diversity in role functions, right, that are there. I think probably even there's opportunities to hyper focus on, with so many roles in cyber, right? There's, the Cyber SN, great resource. They've got what they call their kind of 45 job functions that exist. That's a lot of opportunities for education learning for those 45 roles, right? And that's from sales to CISO. There's a pretty wide range. But it'll continue to grow, and I think more and more efforts and lessons and certs will go because the business is good and money and all those things are also pretty good. We hope, we keep our fingers crossed, with a little bit of strategery, those efforts and the classes result in better protected networks, better protected critical infrastructure and those things that really help support. Do you envision yourself as a CISO at some point? Is that, or do you think you'd like to maybe kind of specialize in a particular skill?
That's something that I would be interested in. There's some classes through college I'd taken that had really piqued my interest, and I don't necessarily know when that will happen, but if an opportunity is presented, yeah, I would happily accept it.
Yeah. So everybody gets the same last question. So, what advice would you give to somebody looking to level up their cybersecurity career?
Oh, sure. So what worked for me may not work for everyone. So please don't scrutinize me too much. But, getting out of your comfort zone and talking to people who they're going to be supportive. Surround yourself with the people who present opportunities like this, and be sincere. It's okay if you're authentic and you might have, like confidence, or maybe don't know how to ask the right questions, or you have a hard time articulating your wants or needs or dislikes. Just be around the right people who you can be vulnerable with, and express your concerns or likes and dislikes, and just give them an opportunity to know you as well. I feel like that's a really pretty good way to be mindful.
Yeah, authenticity is something that's definitely appreciated in 2024, and I think more and more people really appreciate people being authentic themselves. So I appreciate you joining us for the show today. I appreciate everybody tuning in as usual. We have some really great guests lined up for the rest of the year. If there are topics that you want to see for the show, please reach out, right? Hit me up on LinkedIn. Love to have you. If you'd like to be a guest in the show, always open to have folks to reach out. And if you have a topic that you want to talk about, please feel free to reach out. Generally, we're going to focus content around kind of job creation, entry-level roles, and really be, a voice of reason, not just for people looking, but also for hiring managers that are trying to find better ways to grow and build their teams. So with that in mind, I'd love to have, reach out, hit me up, give me some ideas. But, we do this weekly, so there's a lot of shows left for 2024. So Otis, man, it's been fun to, get to meet you through the vet work, see your success through the pre-apprenticeship program, and now following you through Centene and your apprenticeship journey, man. I just, the opportunities, I think, for you will continue to grow, and the sky is the limit, as they say, for a lot of these opportunities. So glad we were able to be a part of your own journey, and very excited to continue to watch that evolve. So thanks for joining us on the show today.
Tony, thank you. It was a perfect opportunity.
And thank you, everybody else, for listening. Until next time, have a great week. Thank you so much.
Good luck, everyone. All right.